Back now to the PM's pivotal trade mission to China aimed at expanding markets for Canadian goods. Julian Karaguesian is a lecturer at McGill University in the Department of Economics and joins me now to talk more about what's at stake. Julian, good to speak with you.
Well, good to be here. Thank you for having me.
As the Prime Minister looks to reset trade ties with China, we are hearing from the U.S. President today who says he's not interested in Canadian goods or renegotiating trade agreements with our country. So I'm curious just how important it is now for our economy that this meeting in China goes well.
Well, I think it's extremely important because, as you know, as we all know, we're all familiar with these numbers now. We export about a third of our economy, and 75 to 80% of that has traditionally gone to the United States. And we know that in the last year and 2 months, big barriers have gone up to trade with the rest of the world, but in particular against Canada, Mexico, and China from the Trump administration. Tariffs, and some of them are very high, particularly the sectoral tariffs. So our trade share with the United States is set to fall, and it's actually fallen. There's been a trend decline since the turn of the century in our trade with the United States as a share of our economy, and we have to make that up somewhere. Canada is a trading nation, and a lot of our prosperity comes from international trade, and so we have to replace that somewhere, and China's the second largest economy in the world. And we're very complementary economies. And so there's immense scope to increase this trade.
A couple big fronts getting a lot of talk ahead of this meeting. Many are calling on Carney to lift those tariffs on the Chinese electric vehicles in exchange for lifting tariffs on our canola. Others, though, like Doug Ford, are urging him not to concede. What do you see happening on this front?
Well, I think, you know, Premier Ford is right to be anxious about that because Ontario is the most exposed province to the Trump tariffs. You know, automobiles and steel and also aluminum. Aluminum is more Quebec and British Columbia. So they're the most exposed because the tariffs, really the brunt of the Trump trade policy is aimed at the automotive sector and manufacturing. So I do think that there's room to eliminate the EV tariffs and to provide relief for our Western farmers and Eastern fisheries. We can do that. However, we can tether that. We can make that conditional. We could replace the tariff with a quota. And we can tell China, look, you can export this many cars to Canada, but we're inviting you to produce here as well, so that we don't lose our automotive sector. And so, as the Japanese did in the 80s and 90s, and as the Koreans did, they produce automobiles in Canada for the Canadian and U.S. market. We can invite Chinese EV makers. We can make it part of the deal that they come here and open up production facilities and hire Canadians and pay Canadian wages, and so that we don't lose our manufacturing. There's a deal to be made in there somewhere that satisfies both Ontario and the Western provinces.
Interesting. All right, what other common ground do you think our country shares with China where we could see some tensions thaw?
Where we can see more trade, do you mean?
Yes.
Yes, well, here's the thing, that the scope is immense because China is a manufacturing superpower. 1/3 of the world's manufacturing is in China, and Canada is an energy and natural resource superpower, and we can also be a protein superpower given the huge amounts of land we have in Alberta's beef and pork and canola and soy in the prairie provinces. We're so well endowed with land and agriculture and energy and water. So there's a lot of scope for trade because the two economies are complementary. We can get many of our machines and consumer electronics from China, and we can feed them with oil and natural gas and canola and soy and potash and you name it. And so the sky's the limit. And there's also two-way investment opportunities as well.
Well, Julian, I want to thank you so much for your take on all of this tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you for having me.